Victor Kane sat motionless in the cold, metallic cell. The air was heavy with the hum of the Galactic Empire's cruiser, its alien machinery thrumming like a heartbeat. His hands rested loosely on his lap, bound by energy cuffs that glowed faintly in the dim light. Outside the cell, alien guards patrolled, their towering frames casting shadows on the walls. Their scales glistened under the harsh light, a testament to their species' evolution in hostile environments. They were warriors bred for strength and precision, yet none of them looked at Victor with concern. Why would they? He was just a human, a species they regarded as frail and unsophisticated. The disdain was evident in their casual movements, their dismissive glances through the energy barrier. Kane, however, wasn't offended. He was counting on their arrogance. A guard paused at his cell, peering in with slitted eyes. "You're quieter than most humans," the alien sneered, its voice guttural, the syllables twisting unnaturally through a translator. Kane tilted his head, offering a faint, disarming smile. "You don't seem to need much noise from me," he replied. The guard chuckled, a sound like grinding stones, before moving on. Victor's mind worked quickly, cataloging every detail. The guard rotations, the positioning of cameras, even the way the energy field flickered ever so slightly when the guards passed through it. To the casual observer, he appeared docile, defeated. But Kane had spent his life perfecting the art of deception. The moments stretched into hours, punctuated by the sound of alien boots on the cruiser's metallic floor. Every so often, a distant rumble echoed through the walls, a reminder of the massive engines propelling them through the void. Kane closed his eyes not to sleep, but to focus. His breathing slowed, his senses sharpening. He wasn't trapped. He was observing, calculating. The Empire thought they had captured a deserter or perhaps a scout. The intelligence report that led to his arrest was planted, designed to draw their attention. They didn't know who they were dealing with. Kane wasn't just a soldier. He was something far more dangerous, a weapon shaped in the shadows of humanity's desperation. The sound of the cell door unlocking jolted him back to the present. A pair of guards entered, their towering frames blocking the light from the corridor. Between them stood an alien of a different caliber. Its robes shimmered with authority, and its 4 eyes gleamed with contempt as it regarded Victor. This was the warden, the one in charge. "You are Victor Kane," it stated, voice clipped and metallic through its translator. "You are accused of espionage and treason against the Galactic Empire. Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Victor met the warden's gaze, his expression impassive. "If I did, would it matter?" he asked calmly. The warden's mandibles twitched, an alien approximation of a smirk. Humans always think their words carry weight. Here they do not. As they bound his hands tighter and led him away, Kane suppressed the faintest flicker of a smile. Words didn't carry weight, true, but actions did. Victor Kane sat at the center of the interrogation chamber, the harsh light from above casting sharp shadows across his face. The room was sterile, devoid of warmth or life, designed to strip away any sense of security. The warden stood before him, its tall, multi-limbed form exuding authority. Around the room, monitors displayed data streams and alien symbols, detailing his supposed crimes. "You are not an ordinary soldier," the warden began, its voice carrying a note of suspicion. It paced slowly, its claws clicking against the floor. "Our records show inconsistencies. Your rank, your deployments, none of it aligns. Who are you, really?" Victor leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "I'm just a man who fought where I was told to fight," he said evenly. "Maybe your records are just as flawed as your systems." The warden's 4 eyes narrowed. "Do not mistake this for a conversation. We have ways to extract the truth." A subtle nod from the alien sent a signal to one of its subordinates, who stepped forward with a sleek device that hummed ominously. Victor eyed it briefly, but his calm demeanor remained unshaken. "Humans," the warden continued, circling him, "always so confident in your fragility. Yet your kind has caused more trouble than you're worth. You think we fear you? You think you're special?" Victor let the silence hang, allowing the warden's words to echo in the chamber. He understood the tactic dominance through intimidation. But he wasn't the type to be intimidated. Beneath the surface, his mind raced, piecing together the vulnerabilities of the interrogation setup. One of the monitors flickered briefly, and Victor caught a glimpse of his fabricated profile displayed in alien script. They had begun to dig deeper, searching for connections that didn't exist. It wouldn't be long before they stumbled across discrepancies too large to ignore. He needed to act soon, but not yet. Timing was everything. The warden leaned closer, its mandibles clicking. Your silence only confirms what we suspect. You are no ordinary soldier. Tell us, how many more of you are there? How deeply have you infiltrated our systems? Victor met its gaze, his tone as cold as the room around him. You think I'm the one infiltrating your systems? He let the question hang, watching the brief flicker of confusion cross the warden's face. It recovered quickly, but the seed of doubt had been planted. One of the guards stepped forward. Warden, there's something you need to see. The alien hesitated, clearly unwilling to be interrupted during its interrogation. But the urgency in the guard's voice couldn't be ignored. The warden gestured for the data feed to be displayed on the main monitor. Victor remained still, but his pulse quickened as the screen filled with fragmented data. The feed revealed encrypted signals emanating from the ship itself, signals originating from a source they couldn't pinpoint. The warden's gaze snapped back to Victor, suspicion deepening. What have you done? It demanded, its voice a low growl. Victor leaned forward, a faint smile playing on his lips. I told you, I'm just a man. Maybe your systems aren't as secure as you think. The warden's composure cracked, its frustration palpable. It barked orders to the guards, demanding a full lockdown of the cruiser. But the damage was already done. Victor's silent sabotage had begun the moment he was brought aboard. They thought they had captured a human soldier, but they had unwittingly invited chaos into their midst. As the warden continued its tirade, Victor sat back, his expression serene. He had no intention of revealing his hand just yet. This was only the beginning. The cruiser's lights dimmed briefly, a flicker that went unnoticed by most of the crew. Victor Kane, however, saw it as the signal he had been waiting for. The subtle disruptions in the ship systems were no coincidence. It was the effect of the small transmitter embedded beneath his skin, a device he had activated during his interrogation. The Empire believed they had captured a man. In truth, they had invited a storm. As the warden barked orders to secure the ship, Victor remained motionless in his cell, his expression a mask of calm indifference. The guards stationed nearby were oblivious to the faint hum growing within the ship's systems. Each pulse of the transmitter sent ripples through the cruiser's infrastructure, disabling minor systems in ways that seemed random at first but would soon create chaos. The first real sign of trouble came when the energy field around his cell flickered. One of the guards cursed, tapping at a control panel embedded in the wall. Field integrity compromised, it muttered, its guttural voice tinged with frustration. System diagnostics are malfunctioning. Victor stood slowly, the faintest smile on his lips. You should probably get that fixed, he said, his tone devoid of malice but dripping with irony. The guard shot him a glare, then moved closer to the control panel. It didn't notice the precise way Victor positioned himself, his body angled to exploit the exact moment the energy field failed completely. The disruption wasn't an accident. It was part of a carefully orchestrated plan. When the field dropped, Victor moved. His hands, once bound, were suddenly free. The energy cuffs fell to the floor with a faint clatter, their locks disabled by the same transmitter causing havoc in the ship systems. The first guard barely had time to react before Victor struck. He moved with calculated precision, his training evident in every motion. A single, swift blow to the alien's neck sent it crumpling to the ground, unconscious. The second guard, slower to process what was happening, reached for its weapon. It never got the chance. Victor disarmed it with a fluid motion, turning its own weapon against it in a single, devastating strike. Within seconds, both guards were down. Victor retrieved the fallen weapon, a sleek, alien firearm unfamiliar in design but intuitive enough for someone with his expertise. He didn't linger. Time was critical, and he had no intention of giving the warden or the crew a chance to regroup. The corridors of the cruiser were eerily quiet, the hum of machinery now interspersed with bursts of static from malfunctioning systems. Victor moved with purpose, his steps silent as he navigated the labyrinthine passages. Each turn brought him closer to his objective, a control hub located near the ship's core. Alarms blared suddenly, a harsh cacophony that reverberated through the ship. Victor smirked. The Empire was finally realizing the extent of their mistake. He could hear the distant shouts of alien crew members, their voices tinged with panic. They were searching for him, but the cruiser was vast, and their focus was scattered. When he reached the control hub, he found it guarded by a trio of heavily armed aliens. Unlike the ones he had faced earlier, these were seasoned warriors, their movements precise and their weapons trained on the corridor leading to the hub. Victor didn't hesitate. He used the element of surprise, tossing a small, improvised device, a stun charge he had fashioned from components scavenged from the guards he had taken down. The charge exploded in a burst of blinding light and sound, disorienting the guards just long enough for Victor to strike. The fight was brutal and swift. Victor's movements were a blur, a combination of human adaptability and the ruthless efficiency of his training. Within moments, the guards lay incapacitated, and Victor stepped over their bodies to access the control terminal. His fingers flew over the alien interface, navigating its unfamiliar systems with ease. The transmitter had already done much of the work, creating backdoors into the ship's network. Victor uploaded a virus, a program designed not to destroy but to cripple. The virus spread rapidly, corrupting navigation data, disabling weapons systems, and scrambling communication channels. As the ship descended further into chaos, Victor allowed himself a moment to breathe. The mission was going according to plan. The Empire would see this as a random act of sabotage, a single human causing minor disruption. They wouldn't realize until it was too late that this was part of a much larger strategy. Victor left the control hub just as the warden's voice echoed through the ship's intercom, ordering all crew members to converge on his location. He smiled. Let them come. By the time they reached the control hub, he would be long gone. Navigating back to the lower levels, Victor located an escape pod. The area was unguarded, a testament to the chaos his actions had caused. He climbed inside, initiating the launch sequence. As the pod detached from the cruiser, Victor looked back at the ship through the small viewport. It was a massive, imposing vessel, but now it was vulnerable, its systems compromised and its crew scrambling to regain control. Victor leaned back in the seat, his expression calm once more. This wasn't just an escape, it was a message. The Galactic Empire had underestimated humanity, and Victor Kane was living proof of the cost of their arrogance.